Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's HIGHMMA and today we are here to discuss UFC 308. Today we're going to be making some early predictions about some of the fights, not necessarily all of them. The full predictions are probably going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. I just want to talk about these fighters you see on screen in particular. These are what I'm saying of this card, and like not of the whole UFC, kind of new era fighters with a lot of potential that were going to be able to do some big things in the UFC before they retire. You know, you got Shara Magomedov, one of the hottest prospects in the middleweight division right now, some of the best kicks in the game. We've got Lerone Murphy, who, don't get me wrong, he's not as young as the rest of them, but he's looking like a fucking featherweight Leon Edwards right now. Just beat Edson Barboza. He's looking good. We're going to get into him today. And we've got Topuria, current featherweight champion, just KO'd. Alexander Volkanovski, Khamzat Chimaev, Whittaker Oralby. We've got some absolute killers that we got to talk about today, man. We're going to talk about Topuria versus Max Holloway first, though. A fight that I am super hyped for, and a fight that I honestly believe that Topuria is going to win. I have Topuria winning this by round 4 standing TKO or a round 4 head and arm choke. Listen, I'm going to explain it. We've got time. So, the reasons being, Max Holloway doesn't deal well with shorter opponents. We've seen it before. Look at the Max Holloway fight. There was moments in the Edgar fight where he wasn't looking his absolute best. Don't get me wrong, he did good. But, you know, he just struggles with the shorter guys sometimes. It's difficult to constantly be jabbing down and not on head level like he was in his fight with Justin Gaethje, where, don't get me wrong, you know, he's coming off a great win. Absolutely insane knockout. But don't forget, people, this is at lightweight and he's cutting back down to featherweight after taking all this damage in his career. Don't forget, he got knocked down in that fight, even though, don't get me wrong, he's taken loads of hits and not gone down. Usually those guys with the rock-solid chin, when it finally gets touched properly, they go sleepy time. And if there's anyone that's put in anyone's sleepy time, it's Topuria, bro. Whether it be with the submissions or the stand-up, he could do it. Half of his wins are via submission, but we've not really seen too many of them since he's been in the UFC. He's just been boxing people up. And I honestly think that Max Holloway is someone that he can box up. He's shorter than him, he's quicker than him, he's younger than him, he's got more spark in his punches. And I just feel like Max Holloway is really going to struggle here. And I think that people are overrating him way too much at the moment. And I'm not saying in general Max Holloway is an overrated fighter, but don't forget, when Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje first got announced, you were all saying that Justin Gaethje was going to take Holloway's soul. Well, he didn't, you know what I mean? But in this fight where, you know, he's draining himself back down to 145, where he looked really good and packed on good size at 155, we don't know how this weight cut's going to go. There are so many stipulations that are going to go into this fight. Who knows what's going to happen? It is really close. I won't lie. I think there's a lot of ways in which Max Holloway could get this win. He could outbox Topuria and, you know, he could maybe take 3 rounds off him, a close fight. I don't think that there is any way that Max Holloway could pick up a dominant win here. However, I think Topuria could do, if the fight reaches the mat. I see Ilya just dominating Max and finding a submission, honestly. I don't think he has the same ground game that Topuria does. I think the main way that Max is going to have to go about this fight is maybe the body kicks, or, you know, the leg kicks. You never know. Don't forget, Alexander Volkanovski did take the first round off of Topuria in their fight, but Topuria did sleep him, and that is something Max Holloway couldn't do with about 75 minutes of fight time. And, you know, not that this is making too much of a difference, but if you checked out the first face-off interview, I would personally say, in my opinion, Topuria is kind of getting in the head of Max Holloway here, and we don't know if he's going to be completely game ready by the time the fight comes. We know Topuria is someone with a lot of confidence, and he ain't going to take no shit from no one, but Max Holloway did seem to be getting kind of rattled in that press conference. Well, it wasn't a press conference, you know, a little interview, so we'll see what happens. But that's everything that I've got to say about Topuria versus Max Holloway. There's my early prediction. Now let's move on to Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker, people. This is a fight where I feel like my predictions of what I'm going to say about it is going to get a lot of hate, and I am going to get a lot of backlash. That's why I am mainly focusing on Topuria and Khamzat Chimaev in this video. The most of the video is going to be talking about them. Look, Khamzat Chimaev is someone with scary power, scary pace, especially early in the fight, scary grappling. He just absolutely demolishes people. He took the second greatest welterweight of all time, arguably the greatest welterweight of all time, and 10-8'd him. People forget. People don't realize how insane that is. He 10-8'd Kamaru Usman, someone who's never been dominated like that before. And, you know, you look at Robert Whittaker, oh yeah, fair play in his last fight, he had a dominant win, first round finish, insane. But who is it against? An unranked bum who, oh yeah, by the way, Khamzat Chimaev is already knocked out. You know what I mean? And I feel like Robert Whittaker's chin isn't what it used to be. We've seen him get absolutely fucked up by the GOAT, Dricus Du Plessis. I fucking love that guy. But that's besides the point. We've seen Robert Whittaker's chin get rattled. We saw him in that Paulo Costa fight, and don't get me wrong, he won that fight. There was no argument for Paulo Costa winning at all. But, you know, it's not like he finished Paulo Costa, and it's not like he did all that much damage to Paulo Costa. I feel like Khamzat Chimaev is going to be coming into this fight with a lot to prove. He had to pull out of his last fight. He's had all the controversy. People don't like him right now. People are against Khamzat right now. And he has to come in here and he has to prove a point and get the fans back on his side. And I think an insane, round 2 TKO, what the fuck, is how he does it. I think that, you know, he's just going to absolutely tire out Robert Whittaker with the grappling. And I think that Robert Whittaker is just going to be absolutely slugging with Khamzat Chimaev. And I think it's going to be a dirty fight. But I think that on the night, Khamzat Chimaev is going to have more of a dog in him. We've seen him go to war before. He had that war with Gilbert Burns. He can weather a storm. And I think he can weather the storm that is Robert Whittaker. And I think he can find the win. You know, Robert Whittaker has made himself look very beatable at times. We've seen the Dricus Du Plessis fight, you know what I mean? We've seen Izzy knock him out. Don't get me wrong, that's a long time ago. But still, I'm just saying, we've seen this shit happen, man. So don't count out Khamzat, because I really feel that he is a future top contender in middleweight. He could even hold the belt at some point. I would not be surprised if he does. Personally, I don't know if he beat Dricus Du Plessis. But we've got to wait and see. We need to remember that, look, Ilia Topuria and Khamzat Chimaev, as of right now, have the potential to become, you know, if not the GOAT of their division, you know, top threes, striving for the GOAT status. Ilia Topuria is someone that could strive for GOAT status before the end of his career. We have superstars on our hands here, and it seems like everyone is clinging onto the past. They're clinging onto Rob. They're clinging onto Usman. They're clinging onto fucking Alex. And don't get me wrong, I love these fighters as well, but there is a new era of fighters on their way, and they are the fighters that we're talking about today, bro. Khamzat Chimaev and Ilia Topuria. You look at what they did to their last opponents, as I was just saying, man. Alexander Volkanovski and Kamaru Usman. But previous, you know, like, fighters where they have an argument to be pound for pound number one. If they weren't, you know what I mean? They're just insane fighters, and they've been fucked up by these new era fighters. Alexander Volkanovski knocked the fuck out. Kamaru Usman 10-8'd in the first round. And, you know, there's always an excuse for it. People just need to start accepting that this is the new era of fighters. These people are here to take over, man. So I think that's all I've really got to say about Khamzat and Ilia now. So let's get into the lesser known fighters that I think have a lot of potential that we are going to be seeing on UFC 308. The first fighter that we're going to be discussing out of the lesser known ones is Miektabek Oralbai. On UFC 308, he's going to be fighting Mateusz Rebecki, who is still someone who has a lot of potential, but in his last fight, he got fucked up by Ferreira. Crazy underdog win. Super impressive by Ferreira. And I think that Miektabek Oralbai could probably get the win here. I mean, he's got some nice grappling. I like his style. It's not the most entertaining in the world, but he's beaten solid people. Like, you know, he picked up a win against Elvis Brenner, who recently fought Yoel Alvarez and got fucked up. But these are all killers just outside of the lightweight rankings. And I like the way that they're all getting matched up against each other. I like the way lightweight is going at the moment. And I like this fight for lightweight. These are two insane prospects going at it. If Rebecki wins, he's getting his career back on track. He's saying fuck the noise about the previous fight, and he's back on track with his win streak. If Miektabek Oralbai wins, he's just still on track with his win streak. You know what I mean? These are sick future contenders in lightweight, no matter who wins. And I would love to see Miektabek Oralbai win. I think he's really marketable. I think people love the whole caveman persona. I fucking love this shit, man. I love this guy, so I'm backing him 100%. And that's why my little piece that I just wanted to say about Miektabek Oralbai, I think you need to keep your eye on him. He's someone that will one day be in the lightweight rankings. Mark my words. And I also think that if he wins this fight, we should put him up against like a Bobby Green or a Rafael Dos Anjos, just like one of those old head fighters that are super well known, like, you know, that Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green fight. everyone knows Bobby, not as many people know Paddy. Well, that's kind of an anomaly in the system because a lot of people know about Paddy. But say Rafael Dos Anjos and Miek Orobai were to be matched up, loads of people are going to know Rafael Dos Anjos. You know, he's going to be fighting on this card as well, but at welterweight. You know, he's a previous champion. He's still in the rankings, blah, 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 blah. Miek Orobai is coming up from the unranked area of the lightweight division, collecting good solid wins. You know, if he beats Rebecca, a good solid win, and he's earned that bigger name fight. That's why I think we should be throwing in one of these kind of matchups after this fight. But there's not much more I can say about Miek. So let's move on to the next fighter I want to discuss today. If you're a fan of the channel, you know that fucking Shara Magomedov is my favorite middleweight, bro. And I have a lot to say about his upcoming fight on this card with Petrosian. I think he's going to absolutely destroy Petrosian. I think we could see another, like, round 3 finish, similar to what he did to Tricoli. That was a really nice fight. I liked the way he went about that. Just perfect distance management. Insane with the kicks. We saw the way that he absolutely melted Oleksiejczyk, just pieced him up across the whole fight. I was super impressed with that. And you got to think, this guy is undefeated as well. He's clearing out a lot of bums in the middleweight division. But we can't forget, these are bums. You know, they're not that good. We saw what Kevin Holland did to Oleksiejczyk. That's all I'm saying. So I think after this fight, we actually need to throw him a solid fighter that, you know, does have the potential to just break that win streak and put him straight back in his place. Not that I want that to happen, because I'm really supporting Shara Putin. I'm going to support him in any fight he goes into. But I think we should match him up with Chris Curtis. Or if you're feeling like throwing him higher in the rankings, match him up with Paulo Costa. These are both fighters that are coming off of losses. They're in the rankings. We all know about them, especially Paulo Costa. And I feel like these are both winnable fights for Shara Putin, honestly. I feel like Paulo Costa in, you know, his new era kind of style, you know, the way that we saw him fight against Sean Strickland and Robert Whittaker this year, he's kind of more patient. He fights on the back foot, and Shara Putin is used to fighting on the back foot, but I feel like his kicks would just get the better of Paulo Costa. I feel like Paulo Costa would be a bit too heavy-handed and a bit too sloppy, and I feel like Shara Putin would take advantage of that. And it's the same with Chris Curtis. You know, he's a dominant boxer. He likes getting in the pocket, and I feel like as he tried to walk down Shara Putin, he'd get hit with an insane amount of kicks, you know, body kicks, leg kicks, head kicks. It'd be way too much for him to handle, and I honestly would probably see him finishing him, you know. And we've seen his fights with Brendan Allen. This is talking about Chris Curtis. He finished Brendan Allen in their first fight, and there's an argument for him in the second fight, which is his last fight that he's coming off of. So if he got a win here, it'd be a, you know, kind of a proving point. Oh shit, Chris Curtis low-key still got it. But I feel like Shara Putin will beat both of these guys, and I feel like these are the fighters we need to look at him fighting next. We need to throw him a big name to get him some attention, because you know that they're not going to match him up against one of the other upcoming contenders in the division. We're not going to see that Bo Nickel matchup, probably not. We're probably not going to see that Ikram Aliskerov matchup, because the UFC knows that Shara Putin has a huge hole in his game in the grappling, and they don't want anyone to take advantage of that. And I feel like Paulo Costa and Chris Curtis are ranked contenders coming off of losses that won't actually do that. So these are the perfect fights to make next. And if you disagree, I'd love to hear your analysis in the comments below, because I feel like these are the perfect fights. But that's enough to say about, that's enough talking about Shara Putin, I should say. Let's move on to the final fighter we're talking about today. It is Lerone the Miracle Murphy. Now, I am a fan of Lerone. Obviously, I'm from the UK as well, so I always like to support the UK fighters. I like his kickboxing style. Recently, he had that fight with Edson Barboza, and low-key pieced him up. I was kind of impressed with that fight. And on UFC 308, he's going to be fighting Dan Ige, a very respected UFC fighter. Recently stepped in on hours' notice against Diego Lopez, of all contenders. Super impressive. So this could end up being one of those situations where, you know, Lerone Murphy beats him and then people start not liking him because he's beaten a fan favorite. I hope not, because I think there is a future star in Lerone Murphy. And I think if he does beat Dan Ige, I think that's 2 ranked fighters that he has wins over now. We need to gift him a bit of a higher ranked fighter. I'm saying, why not get him to fight Josh Emmett? We haven't seen Emmett in the octagon since his disgusting KO over Bryce Mitchell. It was just insane. And I want to see him back in there, because I really do feel like Lerone Murphy's a rising contender. I'm pretty sure he's undefeated as well. And, you know, he's looking really good. Someone like Josh Emmett could just come in there out of nowhere, big meaty hook, bang! Lerone Murphy is out. And that would just be insane to see, because in today's day and age, he still can bang. We saw him knock out Bryce Mitchell. If he could knock out Lerone Murphy as well, we'd have to consider giving him a top 5 contender, you know, someone high up there in the rankings, because he's not exactly the youngest. But what most likely would happen, and what I would hope would happen, is a Lerone Murphy fucking masterclass. He, you know, outmatches him, just uses all of his skills. I'd love to see a fight similar to the Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera 2 fight. Something like that is what Lerone Murphy needs to be aiming for in this Dan Ige fight, and that Josh Emmett fight, if it was to happen. But listen, there's not much more I can say about him. I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video. It has taken a while to make. I am kind of tired now, and I'm losing my plot with the script. So if that Lerone Murphy bit was shit, just ignore it, bro. Just ignore it. But like I said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and you know what I'm going to say. You don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe. Do what the fuck you want, man. But I hope you have a good night, day, evening, whatever the fuck you're doing, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, motherfuckers.